Hey everyone, welcome to the campfire. I'm Hayden,
I'm Coleman.
and my previews and reviews tendencies are kicking in tonight because we have a movie review. We don't do many of them. I think the only one we've done on this channel is for Bigfoot Girl.
Bigfoot Girl we did Bigfoot Girl and
We did the Zodiac movie on previews and reviews, and then we did Bigfoot Girl on MHS.
Well, there's another one too you and Montana did. I can't remember the name of it, but it was another
We
Bigfoot.
did the Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker.
No, on MHS. You did one with Montana. It was a Bigfoot movie. I can't remember the name of it, but you guys 100% did a Bigfoot movie review. You and Montana did. I promise.
I'm trying to think of what it was.
I don't know if it's still on the channel, but
I don't know. It might have gotten deleted when we had our little purge happen. Anyways, everyone, thank you for watching. We don't have anyone, watching at the moment. At least it doesn't appear. If you are, let us know. Comment, say hi. We want
Primal Rage movie review. Sorry to interrupt you. Primal Rage. You guys reviewed Primal Rage.
That's right. We did. You're absolutely right. Is that set to private, or do we still have that public?
It's still public.
Nice.
Anyway, Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go on.
No, you're good. I was getting ready to mute my mic so I could yell at my cat. Lately, so we rehomed our dog. And she just had too much energy, and we weren't home to be with her enough. So we gave her to a good home. But since she's been gone, our cat has had way more energy. And so now he's taking it out on some of our chairs. So anyways, that was a random tangent. But tonight, the movie we're reviewing is called Nefarious. Coleman, you kind of want to tell our audience about how we came into this movie?
Sure. So I went to go see The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. It's a new movie about the life of, I think it was Father Amor is the name. Unfortunately, I left early from that movie, honestly, because for different reasons. The movie wasn't necessarily bad. Russell Crowe did a great job acting in the movie. The first half of the movie is pretty good, actually. The music's really good. The atmosphere is really creepy. But unfortunately, like most Hollywood movies, it gets way over dramatic, way over the top. Really vulgar, really explicit certain scenes, and just like I said, way over the top. It's like, and then it kind of takes like an Indiana Jones type twist in the middle as well. And I just was really disappointed with it. And I was just like, man, this could have been a really good movie, because Father Amorth was an actual priest. It's based off he was an exorcist for the Vatican. I think he did like 3,000 exorcisms or something. So could have been a good movie. Could have been really interesting. Obviously, Russell Crowe's a great actor. But unfortunately, they just went down the wrong creative direction. And I told Hayden, I said, man, how cool would it be if, there was maybe like a faith-based, or I don't even know if what did I say? I said, how cool would it be?
Just like a serious film that's like Hollywood budget quality that portrayed real demonic possession in an authentic, realistic manner.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I said, how cool would it be if they did a grounded, non-over the top, exorcist movie, possession movie, whatever. And without even me looking for it, I saw a review posted on this movie called Nefarious from one of these channels I'm subscribed to. It's this faith-based channel I'm subscribed to. And this person reviewing it was saying how great it was, what it was about. I was like, that's crazy. Like, literally, I was just talking about this. And so I told Hayden about it. Long story short, we went to go see it, and here we are now.
Yeah. So here's a look at the look at the poster. It's kind of laggy there, but and I don't know why the MHS logo is backwards. That's something with After Effects, but you guys get the picture. I thought this was incredible, and I hate most movies with any sort of demonic anything in it. Any sort of demon, possession, and a lot of times it's because Hollywood, even though the movie's telling you they're the bad guy, they still glorify them. They still make them look like the ultimate power. Like they've started doing now in a lot of these modern movies where like the crucifix in the name of Jesus doesn't have any power in the movie. And they're giving people this false sensation of and this false idea of what a demon is and what a demon's power is. And a lot of times in these movies, the demons have no weakness. And at least from the trailers, it looks like, and I could be wrong, so I don't know if this is spoilers or not for the Pope's Exorcist, if anyone cares to watch it. But the trailers make it look like the Pope, or at least the Pope's exorcist, becomes possessed. Am I correct in inferring that just from the trailers?
Yeah, that's correct. From I understand what I remember in the movie, by the time I left, it was going that direction where, yeah, he had to invite the demon in to save the possessed kid and all this stuff. So yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and that's it.
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, it's dumb.
Yeah, that's the dumbest kind of crap, and it's not realistic at all. All it does is glorify these demonic entities.
And not only that, but it also, I mean, I think it's disrespectful to Father Amor. They make these movies based off real life cases, real life exorcists, and they put in this ridiculous stuff that would never happen. A real legitimate exorcist, would never ever invite a demon in to possess them, or I mean, that's ridiculous. That would not happen.
Yeah, no. So Nefarious takes a very different approach. When I pulled the trailer up in the car onto young adult small group at Pastor's house, Haley's like, "Ooh, that sounds scary. That looks scary. I don't think you should watch it. We need to be careful about that stuff." And it looked scary. It looked similar to some of the advertisements you see for other demon possession exorcist type movies. And I love my wife and I love her sensitivity to those things. So I told her, I was like, all right, well, let's research it. Let's do our due diligence and figure out, what are people saying about this movie? What's the background this movie's coming from? And we found some pretty interesting stuff during their production, and even when they're filming interviews and such for promotion for this movie, which, by the way, until Coleman had told me about it, I had seen no promotion for this movie. So Hollywood is canned this. The critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes is abysmal, despite the audience rating being like 98%, something like that, whereas critics is only like 12-15%, which there's only like 12 critic reviews and like 500 plus audience reviews. But back to the point I was going to make, the production and the preparing for promotional materials had demonic interference. Coleman, do you kind of want to address that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've watched a few interviews with the creators, the writers of this movie. I can't remember their names. I know they're responsible for movies like God's Not Dead and Unplanned.
Yeah.
And they're Roman Catholic, practicing Roman Catholics, and they come at it from a Christian worldview, and they make these faith-based movies. And they talked about that this movie had a lot of weird stuff going on. Not necessarily, they said not during production, they didn't really have any spiritual type issues, but like post-production and promotion. Video on YouTube. We can maybe after this put the link in the description. One of the priests, I think that was probably like a theological consultant that was there for like the I don't know what you call it, like the premiere, I guess, or one of their premieres, was supposed to do an interview And the producers and the tech guys, I guess, were messaging him, being like, "Hey, we're having issues. We need to reshoot your interview. We lost footage." And then it became like, "Oh, our entire files are corrupt, and we have to redo the entire interview." And oh, now our audio isn't working, and now the lights are flickering. And so he actually, at that point, he talks about in this video, he just full on started doing a blessing in that room, or where this was all going on. And they and the creators talk about this as well, but they were talking about how they were hearing what sounded like a woman chanting or singing in Latin. There's like disembodied voice. And he talks about when he got to the point during his prayers where he said in the powerful, this isn't a direct quote, I'm going based off memory, but he says something like, "In the powerful name of Jesus, obey the cross," or something. And he said, "I stopped." And but like Hayden was saying, this is a movie that has not been getting any promotion. Had it not been for that channel, I would have never heard about this as well. And the creators are even talking about how people don't know about this movie, and
people are really sleeping on it.
Yeah.
My wife, she is the operations manager for a drive-in movie theater out in Sepulpa that just had its grand reopening. And I was telling her, I came home raving about this movie and was telling her, like, "Hey, you guys ought to show this." And, so if, she can get her other people on board, because, she's the operations manager, but she has to go through due process and, selecting the movies, that sort of thing. If she can get it approved, they may show it. So if you guys live in the Sepulpa area or even around and you miss the drive-in theater experience, check out the TP Drive-In in Sepulpa. It's on Route 66. It's not a paid promotion or anything. But I just figured I'd throw it out there because we may be playing this in other films like it in the future. I know I would like to premiere our next documentary at the TP. I think that could be really cool, especially with it being a cross-country road trip and premiering it on Route 66. But yeah, no promotion for this. In fact, there was another Christian movie that came out a couple months ago. It was a new Left Behind movie, and it got zero promotion. There was also the Ronald Reagan movie that got no promotion. Life Mark and God's Not Dead 4 got very little promotion. God's Not Dead 4 was only in theaters for like a weekend. I think so was Life Mark. But just Hollywood is seeing how successful these films are when they're allowed to be promoted, and the media is doing everything they can to silence them. At least is my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. So let's get into the actual story synopsis. What do you think, Hayden?
Sorry, I'm saying hi to Red Dirt Cryptids in the comments.
Oh, what's up? What's up, Red Dirt? What's up, Brian? Yeah, so for anyone watching at home, so this movie essentially is about this serial killer. I can't remember the name of the character. He's a convicted serial killer, and this psychiatrist, whatever you want to call it, he gets an order from a judge that he needs to go do a investigation to determine if this individual is fit for execution because he has reached his date of execution. And it actually takes place in an Oklahoma prison, by the way. And they actually filmed in an actual prison or psychiatric, whatever.
At least parts of it.
Yeah, parts of it, yeah, which was in Granite, Oklahoma, I believe. And so he goes there, and at this point, this serial killer tells him that he's a demon named Nefarious. And they have, most of the movie is this dialogue between him and this convicted serial killer. And the writers talk about this. This is an analogy that they made, but they said it's pretty much, and I agree with it, it's pretty much C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters meets Silence of the Lambs. It's pretty much, if you combine those two stories, it's pretty much that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hayden, do you have anything to add?
I mean, you pretty much summarized it really well. And I was thinking about it earlier, and I was thinking about it during the movie because being a filmmaker and a storyteller myself, I can never get away from analyzing how a film is made and written while I'm watching it. I just can't. And this film, one of the first scenes, it's when we're introduced to the serial killer. That scene lasts about a third or a fourth or a third of the movie.
Yeah.
It's probably the longest scene and longest continuous dialogue that I have seen in a movie, and it was fantastic. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the screen. That is a testament to the filmmakers. That is a testament to the writers. And I actually saw one of the critic reviews on IMDb, or not IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, and they had actually given it, a not rotten tomato. They'd given it a solid tomato, and they said something along the lines of, with them caring about the project, you can really see that they were confident. It showed that, despite the budget, that the filmmakers had confidence, and that went a long way. And I 100% agree. The confidence displayed in the film and in the message is fantastic. And I can see how some people would feel like a demon is preaching to them. But, I mean, who better to make a case in some ways,
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting, hearing the demon's perspective on why they rebelled too, and then why us as humans are different. And I just thought that was all brilliant.
Yeah. So I'm going to get into the things I liked about it, and then if you have anything to add, definitely do so, and then maybe we can talk about, because I do have some critiques, but I just want to get out there what I loved about this. What you said, I really, like I said, the movie pretty much revolves around this conversation between the psychiatrist, and this, by the way, the psychiatrist is, they made it clear he's a secular, pretty much atheist. I mean, he says he's an atheist. He comes from an atheistic worldview, and he represents that during this conversation. And obviously the demon is there, and they have conversations about God. They have conversations about the agenda of the demonic and everything like that. And this is the best part about the movie, is this entire conversation that takes place between the psychiatrist and the demon Nefarious. What I really liked, one of the things I really liked about this movie is it didn't dumb anything down. When Nefarious, the demon, the possessed man, is talking about the creation of the angels and the fall of the angelic realm and everything like that. I mean, they even talk about in a way of, like, when you read like some of the deeper theological text from like some of the more like Western sources about how where it describes angels as like by nature being pure will, bodiless, they don't, they're pure will. And that's what he even refers to it as during the creation of the angels in the angelic realm. God made them pure will, pure intellect, and that they had to make a decision whether they were going to follow the creator or rebel. And I just appreciate that they didn't dumb it down. They had, and we looked at the end credits, and they had theological consultants. A lot of, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. If this movie was made in the most, stereotypical way a lot of these Christian movies are made, it wouldn't be like that. It would be very dumbed down, because most Christian media, if we're just honest, is just dumbed down. Especially when it comes to theology and things like that, it's really dumbed down because people don't really talk about theology anymore. It's mostly like self-help and stuff like that, and it's just a shame. And so what I really appreciated how this movie delved into these deep theological concepts and did it amazingly. I appreciate how also during this conversation in this movie, the demon talks about how they're behind things like euthanasia. It's a thing that's talked about in the movie, and talks about a lot of these sensitive subjects that most films will not touch. It talks about, I have to be careful with my words because we're on YouTube, but it talks about termination of a pregnancy is the thing that they talk about, and how the demons get joy from that, and how their whole goal is, and it's just a exposure of the manifesto of the demonic world, which is to destroy humanity because we're made in the image of God, and because we're loved by God. And I could go on and on. There's a lot of just great little details where they refer to God as the enemy. For example, how often Christians refer to Satan and the demonic as the enemy. Well, in this movie, Nefarious, the demon, refers to God as the enemy. He doesn't even say the name Jesus. He refers to Jesus as the carpenter, for example. I mean, there's a lot of deep theological references, super interesting conversations, and just and everything, and the director's going in and just does a great job handling that. Another thing I will say, the acting was very good. The guy who played Nefarious and the serial killer, fantastic job, great actor. He definitely stole the show. Just incredible acting. The guy who played the psychiatrist, great job, great acting. But those are the two main things that I liked most about the movie. Hayden, what about you?
Goodness, yes. Real quick though, I want to jump on here and say, I'm noticing that the stream is having problems streaming. I think it's because we're streaming both to YouTube and Kick. So it's actually so StreamYard would not stream itself to Kick. So I had to run it through Restream. So right now, both of the streams are going through Restream, and I think that's probably the issue. So I apologize to anybody, in the live chat or anything that, the video is coming back delayed. But my favorite things about this film, you listed most of them, so I got to find some different ones. I loved how, and I forget the guy's name, but the guy who plays the prisoner, the murderer, his way of switching between characters is so good. It is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, movies have to have some cheesy effect to communicate that they're switching different characters. And this movie, it's all in his performance. Every time, he switches, and you get unsettled when the demon comes back. And such a good movie. I'm watching this whole movie trying to figure out why it's rated R. It only ever has one cuss word in it. And it's right after that cuss word that I think gives it Hollywood's one excuse to rate this movie R. So this is kind of spoiler territory. So mute us for the next 30 seconds if you don't want to hear spoilers. I'm giving them time to mute. There's a scene with the electric chair, and it's very realistic. And I think that's their only excuse for being able to make this rated R. Otherwise, it could have been PG-13 easy.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too, that I was like, there's no reason for this movie to be rated R at all until it got to that scene. I was like, okay, I could see why that, is the case. But even then, still, it's like I've seen worse from PG-13 movies. So, yeah.
Yeah. I loved this movie, though. The set design was fantastic. And I love seeing the, made in Oklahoma stamp on the credits. We need to see more of that. I, as a filmmaker, need to see more of that. My bank account needs to see more of that. So if you're a producer or director looking to shoot something in Oklahoma, please reach out to me. I would love to be a location scout, a PA, or whatever you need. I just need more film set work. But anyways, I don't want to retread ground where you were talking about the positives of this film. So I'll I guess go ahead and get into the negatives. My one main negative is the prison warden. Some of his acting came off cheesy to me, especially at the start of the film. He gets better as the film goes on, which makes me think that they shot this film in chronological order, because his acting improves as the movie continues. I would like to know. Well, that kind of goes into spoiler territories. I would like to know some things in the movie, like why certain things were able to happen. I mean, it kind of explains it with the demon, and the demon knows, and it's been following him around. But like, I want to know how the physical body that this demon's inhabiting came into possession of certain things that not even the protagonist would have seen, but they're from his life. You don't have to give me an explanation for it. I would have kind of liked to seen that, but it wasn't really necessary to the story. I was kind of also glad to see that they don't take, and this again is spoilers, but it's story, and that's the main thing that I'm going to critique. I like seeing how they didn't just make the protagonist become a Christian at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the end, it does show the power of God interfere with something, and I won't spoil what that is. But they don't just make him, like the stereotypical, direct to PureFlix movie where he gets saved by the end of it. I mean, the demon does not lead him in prayer. I'm pretty sure there were some critics expecting that at some point. But I mean, that's my critiques, and again, they're very minor. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you about the warden. First and foremost, I agree. I think I really struggled with scenes involving him, not to be mean, but because it's just the other actors are so good, and then you get to scenes with him, and it's like, it's my problem with a lot of these Christian movies is that usually the acting is really poor. It is what it is, and it's something that if Christian movies want to be more successful, the quality has to get better, and that includes the acting. And so I did notice with him, really, like, he's just kind of reciting his lines, whereas when it comes to the other two actors, the psychiatrist and the guy who played the serial killer, I need to pull up his name so I can give him credit if I can. Looks like his name is Sean Patrick Flannery. And the other guy is he plays Nefarious, and then Dr. James Martin is the name of the other character, and the guy who plays him is, Jordan Belfi. Both those guys do spectacular in these roles, and I want to give them credit. And some of the other acting from, like I said, the warden just wasn't good. Not to be mean, but it is what it is. I will say this. I will say this as well. You like the set design. I did too, for the most part, but I will say when it comes to like the interrogation room, where most of this movie took place with, I was really bugged by the wallpaper they used. They used this cinder block wallpaper in the interrogation room, and it was clearly wallpaper. Okay, and this is taking place in a prison where it's made out of cinder block. So I know that's why they did that, but I'm sorry, that it just, to me, it looked really cheap. And, I get they're on a budget, and I get they have to produce sets because they can't obviously just film everything at this prison because it's still like an active prison. But at the same time, I really feel like they could have done something else there. If it were me personally, I would have just gone with like a normal interrogation room with just white walls or something. I don't know. That kept, and you could tell they were trying to make it look like real cinder block because they had like little scratch stuff on dents in the cinder block and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know. To me, there was times where I was looking at that and it kept taking me out of the movie, and I'm like, it just didn't look good. So some of the set design was not that great, unfortunately, in my opinion.
I'll have to look back on the trailer and take a look at those scenes, because I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, and it might have just been me because I overanalyze little stuff like that sometimes. But to me personally, I noticed it, and I could tell it was very fake, and it kept bugging me. I'm trying to think of anything else. I like what you said too, Hayden. I really, and obviously we're supposed to be doing critiques, but that was another thing I liked how they didn't do the corny cookie cutter. Oh, he becomes a Christian at the end of it, and it's all sunshine and rainbows. You know, the movie is very much like a reality check. It's very much like, hey, the demonic is real, God is real, Christ is real, the angels are real, and the demonic are real. The devil's real, and they hate you. And that's like probably the main thing I think this movie's trying to get at is the demonic hate you, and they're looking to destroy you. They're looking to we're engaged in this warfare that is going on around us at all times, and their goal is.
You there? You cut out on me.
Or despair. It's the purpose for them.
Nope, you're cutting out on me. Hang on, let me text you in the private chat. Sorry, folks, about this. I don't know where Coleman is. Okay,
yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, excellent. Sorry. Yeah, you kept cutting out. I couldn't hear anything you said.
Yeah, that's weird timing too. Yeah, I think we might be having our own little demonic little interruptions going on. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of weird timing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not the case, but
hopefully not.
But you never know.
Pray over our streams.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I was saying though, you know, this movie's a wake up call, and it's very, again, it doesn't do the whole cookie cutter pure flicks thing that we have seen so much that has given a lot of Christian movies a bad rep. It's a quality movie, and it tackles these subjects in a good way, with good acting, with good storytelling. I want to make another critique though, and that should be it. Kind of a spoiler, but it's a minor spoiler. I personally didn't like the creative direction of having this all take place within like a single day. I think that what would have been a lot better if this took place like over the course of like a week or so, and break up some of those conversations of, you know, if I was like the director in this movie or the writer or whatever, I would have made it to where, because some of those they're great, they're the best part of the movie, but they go on for a very long time. And what I would have done to show not only to break up those conversations, but to help show like the toll it's taking on the psychiatrist character, see how, you know, it's affecting him. Because you see it happen in the movie, but it's all taking place within this single day. And to me, I just felt like it would have been better for the audience. I think it would have been better for the story if it had portrayed this as a multiple day thing where he's talking to him, trying to make his diagnosis. He leaves, he comes back, he leaves. Right. I think that just would have been more effective, me personally. So that's just another little critique. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice. I get why writing wise, for several reasons they could have done it. One being, you know, they could have easily been trying to write it that way and hit writer's block and do something that you can actually, if I can grab it, I don't think I can grab it. It's behind my laptop. But essentially, they added a clock. They started the clock. The clock's counting down to 0. And what that does is it makes it to where they have to accomplish something in this story within a certain amount of time for the characters. And if the characters only have this amount of time to do something, tensions rise. You know, they got to try and figure out things quick. So the character doesn't have time to go home, eat dinner, sleep, have nightmares, all this stuff. And I think the film could have benefited from being broken up a little bit more. But generally speaking, I see why they went the direction they did, and I think it was for the most part the best direction for them to go. Um, just because of it keeps the tension going, and like I said earlier, it creates one of the most engaging cinematic dialogues that I've seen. Um, so Coleman, we've talked about our likes and our dislikes. So and you're an admin on the stream, so go to banners.
Okay.
And scroll down to the bottom, and you will see a range of 5 to 1 popcorn buckets and film reels.
Okay.
What would you give this movie as far as entertainment, as far as popcorn goes?
Entertainment. Let's see. I'll give it, I guess, 4 popcorn buckets. Yeah, I mean, it's entertaining. It's not entertaining if you're looking for your typical Hollywood over the top, head spinning, all that. Right? This is not going to do it for you. It's not that type of movie. It's I've looked at reviews. There's been known exorcists who have watched this movie and they've said themselves like this is the most realistic take session in a Hollywood movie I've ever seen. So it's not this over the top thing. But again, if you are someone who is into deeper theological concepts, which are talking in this movie, and if you can appreciate the realistic take that this movie that this goes with, and the message that it's trying to get put across to the viewer, it's really entertaining. It's really interesting. It keeps you captivated. I give it 4 popcorn buckets out of 5.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I've also got to give it 4 popcorn buckets. Oop. There we go. Yeah, I mean, being someone who's been trying to study all of this theology and such, it's very engaging intellectually. Someone who hasn't engaged with it as much might not be as entertained. But I mean, I thought it was very thrilling. Red Dirt Cryptids over here. To the best of your knowledge, did it align well and accurately with the Bible? Coleman, do you want to answer that one?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. Yeah. And again, this isn't like the movie is not like necessarily a complete deep dive into like the study of the fall or angel, the study of angels or demonology or whatever. Again, it tackles some of those subjects briefly. Like I said, Nefarious in the movie does at the point where he talks about like the nature of angels, the nature of demons. He talks about God. He references the Bible constantly throughout the movie, and constantly tries to like invert things too as well, if that makes sense. I said, referring to God as the enemy and stuff like that. Obviously, it doesn't have like the nuance of like Michael Heiser. It's like the multiple false belief that Michael Heiser talks about in his work. It's not like that level of scholarly, but it does talk about like the general fall of the angels. It talks about the nature of the angels with like most especially from a theological perspective, with them being spiritual beings, bodiless, pure will, pure intellect, stuff like that, which, like I said, that's a big thing that's talked about in a lot of like the basic theological stuff that's done on that subject. But yes, long story. I'm very long-winded. Sorry. Yes, it is biblical from my perspective and my personal beliefs. Yes, I would say it's very biblical.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. And yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, I thought it was very biblically sound. Nothing conflicted with my spirit. And I do want to touch on something, Coleman, that you had mentioned is that these things are pure will. I believe what you're saying, what the movie was saying, wasn't pure as in like pure as snow.
No, yeah,
pure will, as in like concentrated as like 100% will, if that makes sense.
Yes, because he talks about Nefarious in the movie talks about free will. Yeah, I don't mean pure in the sense that like they're like he's good, obviously not, but pure will being that their will, they don't have a body during the creation of the angels and everything. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're spiritual beings. That's what he talks about. And he talks about how when God created the angels, they had this choice because of their free will. And they talk about free will in the movie. They talk about they used their free will to disobey God, and they fell, and now they're demons. And talks about how humans have that same free will, and that the demons tempt humans and tempt mankind to fall and rebel against God because that's their way of getting back at God. Nefarious talks about a lot. That's how they attack their enemy, quote unquote, is by causing mankind to fall. And
yeah, because the only way for the demons to have any sort of victory is to have victory over us. And the demons know that God loves us above all creation, and the more of us they can drag to hell with them, the more that it's going to hurt God emotionally. And but God loves us, and He gives us that free will, and for a reason, because He's a good God. And so those of us that decide to follow Christ and decide to worship God and to love Him, our worship and love brings Him much more joy than it would otherwise. Knowing that we weren't just programmed robots and nobody went to hell. Don't get me wrong, God takes no pleasure in anyone going to hell. He wishes nobody had to. But because there are people that do, our worship and our love is just all the sweeter. As horrible as that sounds, Coleman, would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Scripture says. Scripture in the Old Testament says that God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but rather that they turn from their sin. So, God takes no pleasure in that. But again, it's all about free will. We make that choice, right? We choose in this life to either follow Christ, accept Christ, to serve Christ, or we don't. And you make that decision, and that falls with you into eternity, or you make that decision. So that's what they talk about in the movie. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the film reels, and we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit here, because I know we're getting close to the hour. Not quite an hour, but it might not be a full hour show. I know we're having stream issues. It looks like on YouTube as well as Kick. It's just completely frozen on Kick. I don't know what's going on there. So I hope for those who are watching, I hope it's coming through all right. But film reels, like quality of filmmaking here, I'm going to give it a 4 film reels. I think it was very well made. My biggest complaint would have to be some of the way the film is edited. There's a few editing things that I just thought could have been paced a little better, particularly with kind of the prologue of the film where they're on like one of those like 700 show or whatever, whatever show that was supposed to be, where they're promoting a thing. I know I've already spoiled some stuff, but I'm trying not to spoil too much. But I mean, other than that, and then like you were saying with the concrete wallpaper stuff, which actually slipped by me. I'm kind of surprised because art department's one of my favorite areas to work on a film. But what do you think?
Yeah, I will give it 4. Wait, that's not 4. Sorry, 4. I should learn how to count. 4 film reels as well. It's a great film. It does suffer, I think, from what a lot of these faith-based movies are suffering from, which is essentially quality in acting, and I think quality in some of the production, which obviously that's not completely their fault. Obviously, a lot of these movies are not funded very well, unfortunately. But at the same time, though, you can't ignore it, right? There are some times where it's certain production things don't really work. Some of the angles are weird. Some of the set design's not that good. I will say too, though, I do think from a creative perspective, there's certain scenes where I really wish the score, the music of the movie was a little bit better, a little bit stronger, because I do feel like I'm glad for the most part that during those conversations between the therapist and the psychiatrist and the serial killer, um, I am glad that they didn't like put a bunch of dramatic music. Again, that's one of my main compliments of the movie, that it's not over dramatic, over the top. But however, there were moments in that conversation where I was like, man, this would be so much better, so much creepier, so much more effective if they just put in subtle music cues here, like subtle just music or a main theme going on. I just feel like that would have helped the movie so much, and I was just like really disappointed with that, because I just feel like creatively that would have been really good for the movie, is to have like a consistent theme, which is common in like horror movies and
thrillers
thrillers, right?
I mean, you could have easily given this a very iconic, memorable, stuck in your head score, like the Halloween movie, for instance. I mean, you don't even have to have seen Halloween to have heard the score. It's that prevalent in the cultural zeitgeist. And this film could have had something very similar. I think Christian films are getting to that point. I think they have had to improve their storytelling. And I've said this time and time again. The moviescape, the cinemascape, started with Christian movies being about, message, and then the talent and art, and then the story wrapped around it. And versus secular movies, it's the opposite. It's the story and the talent and the artistry and the craft, and then the message will just kind of appear if it does. And it's starting to switch. I mean, we see it with Disney. I mean, that's why Disney is beginning to bomb so hard with every movie they release at the box office. Is people have gotten tired of it being Disney woke propaganda.
Yep.
With maybe some interesting stuff and a little bit of artistry and talent. And modern Christian movies are starting to get a lot better about that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, hopefully I think it's important that they follow this trend, get away from the cookie cutter, overly corny, overly cheesy stuff, just stereotypical stories that people mock Christian movies for. And I think sometimes, honestly, rightly so. A lot of them are just bad. I mean, because to be honest, a lot of them are just not good. And, what needs to happen is, of these movies need to start going this direction. They don't have to be dark like this. They don't have to necessarily tackle this subject matter, but just more real, more story driven, like telling good, captivating stories that anyone, whether faith-based or not faith-based, you may disagree with it or agree with it, but there's no doubt that it's a captivating, compelling story with good quality acting. That's what we need.
Well, and that's why I've started Revolve Studios. Because I don't want to make beat you over the head Bible message movies. I mean, that's not the kind of movie we made when we made our documentary. We just included our faith. We didn't exile it, as a lot of people tend to do if they have faith at all. We just, we don't, wear a big, Jesus mascot around in our movies. We just plant a T-shirt or, plant a set dressing pillow that says, in God I trust, or, just little things here and there. You can tell the story is coming from a Christian worldview, or, that the documentary or whatever it is made from a worldview, but no agenda is being pushed. We're not, over here trying to proselytize. We just want to sow seeds. That's all we're trying to do while we make high quality content. But anyways, any final thoughts?
No, just to add on to that though, I will say, as a final note on that, these Christian film studios and storytellers and writers need to understand the ability to just tell good stories. It's important for films, yes, obviously media, we need to preach the gospel. We need to tell people about Jesus Christ. We need to share the Christian worldview without any shame whatsoever. And this movie does that. It's very blunt about the realities. It's not just it doesn't just say that the most obvious evils are bad, like a lot of movies do. Like, oh yeah, everyone can agree that this is bad. It gets into controversial stuff that may have upset some people and calls it for what it is. But at the same time, though, some of the best witnessing you can do as a Christian storyteller or a filmmaker is just to tell good stories. Like you said, every movie needs to be necessarily preaching at you. Look at the Chronicles of Narnia, right?
100%.
Those are some of my favorite movies as a kid, and it's filled with Christian symbology from head to toe, 100%. I mean, it's obvious. It's all over the movie and the books, obviously, too. But what it doesn't do is that it doesn't preach at you. It's not in your face. It's telling an amazing, captivating, fun story that everyone can enjoy, which is why those movies were so successful. And unfortunately, they weren't made by a Christian film studio. They were made by whoever
Disney.
made it.
The first one.
Yeah, Disney.
Different film studios had different rights. So like Disney made the first one. I can't remember if they made the second one, but I want to say 20th Century Fox made the third one.
Yeah.
If I remember correct, and they all stayed in the same continuity with the same actors. I didn't care as much for the Prince Caspian one. The colors were way more muted. I know there was a lot of people that really liked that one more than the first one. I don't get it. And then the third one was just completely tonally different. And I enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters. It was actually the only Narnia movie I got to see in theaters. But there were so many things about it that bugged me. And it has the worst special effects of any of the Narnia movies.
First Narnia movie is legendary. I think that's right up there with some of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, you can't top it. I mean, apparently Netflix has the rights to Narnia now, which...
scary.
Lord help us there. I would like Revolve Studios to have the rights to it, but we don't really have the budget for it right now. But I mean, how are you going to remake the first Narnia, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? I mean, it's too iconic. It'd be like trying to reboot Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah,
you can't do it.
Well. Yeah, they're probably, unfortunately, they're not going to do a good job whatsoever at all. Unfortunately, I can already tell where it's going.
They're probably going to make it like a, Game of Thrones for Netflix.
Yeah, and just completely, it's a shame. But again, that was made. That first movie was not made by a Christian film company. That was made by Disney. And let's be real, they did, at least Disney as it existed back then, did a better job doing that than most Christian film studios now would have done with it. So again, it's just time to step up their game and start making good quality movies. And they don't all have to be explicitly preaching at you. They can just be good stories. Just tell good, captivating, iconic stories that everyone can enjoy.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I've got to log off of here. My wife's been trying to call me. I sent her a picture of us on the stream. It's like 1 second. But Coleman, I'll talk with you a little more tomorrow. I wish I could stay on some after the stream, but I haven't really gotten to talk to her much today at all. She's been at work all day, and she won't get home till like 1 tonight, unfortunately. This is the nature of her job right now. But hey, special thanks to Red Dirt Cryptids for joining us in the chat. I haven't really seen any other interaction. It might be because of us using Restream. It might be demonic intervention. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below if you're watching this after the stream. We're trying to figure out some other ways that you guys can be a part of our community. I've just sent a channel membership for review to YouTube. So once they've reviewed it and they give us a thumbs up, I'm going to try and have the custom emojis and stickers or whatever, or badges set up so that you guys can sign up. Right now it's only going to be like $4.99 a month. So if you guys want to help support us, we greatly appreciate it. And again, there's the Patreon in the link in the description below. There's the Redbubble store. And if you haven't already subscribed, I can tell you now, Uncle Sam Squatch wants you to subscribe.
Yeah.
Please excuse my corniness. But if you guys like movie reviews, or you want to see more movie reviews from kind of our worldview and our perspective, I actually included a link in the description to my previews and reviews website, where I try to kind of in blog style format post movie reviews. The Nefarious written review is up there now, as well as my review for Where the Crawdads Sing, Redeeming Love. And tomorrow I'll be posting my review for the new Super Mario Bros. Movie. So if you've got any 80s nostalgia in you, definitely check that out. And of course, if you guys like movie reviews, like I was saying, you guys want more from our worldview, head over to our sister channel Previews and Reviews and subscribe. And if we see enough people subscribe after the stream, we'll kind of revive that channel. It's kind of died. We've just been too busy. We've been focusing on the MHS network, and we were focusing on the documentary. But we're at a point now where if there's interest, we would love to bring it back. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Coleman, you want to kind of sign us out?
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for watching. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, everyone watching on Kick. Please subscribe on our Kick if you're there and able to watch it. We're trying to grow that. And yeah, thank you for everyone watching. Go see this movie. Go support this movie. I want to say that before we head out. Go see it. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll play the poster drop again. I know our logo is kind of backwards, but that's what the poster looks like. Definitely go check it out. It's in theaters right now. It's in select theaters, it appears. So find a theater near you that's showing it, and please go show this movie some love and support.
Yeah, go see it because it's not going to be out for very much longer, it doesn't look like. So go see it, support it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're seeing this and you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See you guys next time. Peace.